Spencer Lazara, MMA interviews. I'm alongside Vinny Magalhaes. I'm getting better at saying that, man. A little better.
Much better. Sound way better than before.
That time at Extreme Couture, it was not happening.
No, I think you even said Magalhaes, which is the first thing that people usually say here. But yeah, now it's much better.
So obviously, there's been a little Twitter war going on. Get right to the point with you and Phil Davis. What's going on there? Is that a fight you expect to happen?
Here's the thing. I think the last time we talked, I talked about maybe fighting Phil Davis in the future, and it was not a fight that I was planning to be my next fight. But that thing happened to Forrest, and I became an option. Even the UFC, Joe Silva texted me saying oh, the fans wanted to fight Phil to replace Forrest, and then I was like, hey Joe, I can take the fight 3 weeks away. I cannot take the fight because I'm not training. And they knew it. Dana was a Don't Make fighter. He knew that I wasn't training because I was helping Che for 6 hours a day and doing my regular classes my gym for out of 3 hours. So they knew that I wasn't training. And when I told Joe, I was like, hey Joe, I cannot take the fight now, but I'll fight Phil later if you don't mind, if you don't have any problem with that. Joe Silva was cool with that. He was like, yeah, I'll try to make that fight. Just let's see if you can hype that fight. Pretty much that's what he didn't say those words, but that's pretty much what he said. So I went there, it's like, hey Phil, I don't take the fight now, I'll fight you later. Fine. And he would never just ignore him. And I was like, dude, I gotta be more aggressive. He's just ignoring me, so I'm just gonna be a little more aggressive with my request. Then I started to call him out on Twitter and all that stuff. And he finally responded. And when he responded, he said, well, you're how can I be ducking you if the UFC wanted to fight at 155 and you didn't want to fight, you want to pick the date? It's like, no. And he said I ducked him for 155. I was like, dude, it's different. Ducking somebody, it's I don't want to fight the guy, I want to stay away from the guy, which seems like what he's doing it. Because he won't stay away from me. He said well, I don't want to fight until April. But he didn't say I'll fight Vinny in April. He just doesn't want to fight until April because he knows that I won't wait. So he wants to fight somebody else. Likely he wants to fight another striker that he can take down and finish. Some days he knows he's not going to do it to me. So, I don't know if that's going to be my next fight, but I'll know if I feel eventually.
Yeah, you mentioned that maybe April was a date that maybe they were interested in making the fight, but you don't want to wait that long. You would like to compete sooner.
No, it's not even the UFC. UFC wants to make that fight in the UFC 157, February 23rd, if I'm not mistaken the date. But Phil didn't want to take the fight in that date. So, it's pretty much up to the UFC who I'm going to fight next. But Joe Silva and Dana, they like the idea of me fighting Phil Davis. So if I don't fight him next, I'm going to fight him probably my next fight, after that my next one, or at some point I'll be fighting him for sure, especially after now. Here's the thing. At first I started just, I'm available to fight him in February if you guys want. Then he just responded saying that I was ducking him. So it's those are fighting words in my opinion. If you say that I'm ducking you, you're challenging me. So I'm going to be fighting him at some point.
Why? I know why, but tell the fans why this fight is so appealing to you and I think to everyone.
First of all, I think people overhype Phil Davis too much. He's 6-1 in the UFC, that's not hype. Those are numbers. Those are reality. He's 6-1 in the UFC. But check who he fought. A bunch of names. Tim Boach, he fought Branston, fought Rashad. Who else did he fight that he beat? Nogueira. Tell me one of these guys that are better grappling than him. Tell me one of these guys that has good bottom game that can finish him off his back. None of them. The only guy who could have beat him in grappling, out wrestle him he did, which was Rashad. He made him look bad, and then Rashad showed who Phil Davis really is as a fighter. He's a guy who can eye strike, and the guy who can only take people down. If he can, he's fine. If he cannot, which was what happened against Rashad, he has nothing else going on for him. And the reason I want to fight him, I truly believe that at this point I'm the best jiu-jitsu guy in my weight class. So I believe that if he takes me down, he's gonna get submitted. So it's a fight that's it favors me, and that's why he doesn't want to take the fight.
Yeah, he is 6-1, and obviously to his defense, like we talked about, you're not quite up there yet in the rankings. You said you wanted to prove yourself, so I guess the fight for him maybe doesn't make as much sense in that sense.
Definitely. As for Vinny's a guy who just got back from the UFC, finally got his first win, when he got back. But here's the thing, there is a still that they're appealing for to be a challenge, of course the numbers is he's way ahead of me when ranking wise, he's way ahead of me when it comes to numbers, 6-1, I'm 1-2 in the UFC. But style-wise, that's what I'm talking about. It could be a good grappling match, in a fight. He can do really well, maybe for 2 minutes. He can make himself look good for maybe 2-3 minutes, on the ground until he get tapped. But it could be a good fight. I'm not saying that's going to go there. Nobody's going to be doing a sloppy kickboxing match as some people think it would be. Because here's the thing, as much as neither one of us are good strikers. I feel like I do have the advantage, and that's going to force him to shoot the takedown. And once he gets the takedown, he's getting tapped out. So I don't think it's going to be a boring fight as some people think that's going to be.
I don't think it would be boring at all. I'm excited to see it.
It's not going to be boring. I'll tap him out.
Talk about the Ultimate Fighter, coaching on there and that experience, and how it was being alongside Chael and John. And I heard the fights were also very exciting. Obviously, don't want to talk too much about it, but I heard they were great fights.
Yeah, the finalists are just kidding. But no, actually, like usually people are gonna hype no matter what. People are gonna be hyping the show. And at this time, I'm gonna just be pretty honest. Like, there's no hype. Like, whatever Dana said is true. There's at this time they decided to pick real fighters. My season, last few seasons, they picked the guys that would be entertaining as for being clowns, but not real fighters. At this time, every single one of the fighters that made on the show are legit fighters, and they put some good fights. I don't know if you I think Dana already said that, so I think I'm fine to say that. Most of the fights are finishes too, There's nothing so boring that went to boring decisions. Most of the fights are finishes, and some really cool finishes. And like you said, there were guys that are sending guys to the hospital, so it was fun. It was a pretty good thing to watch,
And talk about maybe a little bit about just the talk between Jones and Sonnen.
I was more in the gym. I wasn't really getting involved with the whole Johns and Chael thing. As for being Oregon, but it was interesting. Having those two guys around each other was fun. I cannot talk about much if they actually had a fight, if they were cool with each other. Yeah, it was cool though. It was fun.
All right, and also I guess last thing, congratulations. You're expecting your second child with your wife. Talk about your feeling when you heard the news.
Yeah, it was fun. You were planning maybe a month ago, 3 months ago, you were talking about maybe you should have another kid now, because if you don't have by the next couple months, it's not gonna happen again. Because you don't want to wait for too long to have your second kid. And fortunately, by accident, but not in a bad way, it happened again. So you're happy for it. Hopefully, it's gonna be a boy. I don't know if people usually say that, but I want it to be a boy, so my son can have a little buddy. But if it's a girl, it's fine too.
All right. Anything else you want to say, Vinny?
No, I just want people to follow him on Twitter, because I'm gonna keep calling Phil Davis out, and he's gonna have to take the fight. Otherwise, he's gonna look like a little wussy.
All right. Appreciate the time. Vinny Magalhaes, Spencer Lazar. You're watching MMAinterviews.tv.